everybody! Welcome to Marcus's live stream, of which I am now taking over. He is used to asking the questions, but guys, today we want answers. So Marcus, I am so excited. Thank you so much for having me on. I am so excited to answer some questions about you. So can you tell us, Marcus, how did you find live streaming?
Okay, so first, thank you for having me. Live stream, yeah, that's
On your show.
yeah, of course, yeah, that's a fun story. In 2020 we suddenly were all at home working, and I was just thinking, how can I make meetings better? How can I improve the tech? And I was researching that on YouTube, and YouTube did its magic and showed me something I didn't know I maybe should see, and that was Live Streaming Pros. And they were talking about live streaming, and I had no idea whatsoever that I would ever live stream myself, but I just stayed with them because they were so engaging and entertaining. And then they did this LIDA challenge, and yeah, I did it 2 times. The first time I just learned how to go live, and the second time I thought, okay, why not do this? And suddenly here we are.
I love it. What a great way to start. And I think one of the things for me that I wasn't expecting was that you would find this community of like-minded creators, and how just being part of this community makes you want to create new things and find new friends. Because in my real life, I don't have anyone who is a creator like as my real life friends. So Marcus, do you have anyone in your real life that creates videos or is sort of in that space at all?
No, absolutely not. As long as we say real life is people you really see face to face,
Yes.
because
Yes.
many people here I consider now, you included, good friends of mine. But yeah, no, it's just,
For
and
sure.
yeah, this community is yeah, we drive each other on to try some things, and that's fantastic.
So guys, if you are here with us live in the chat and you have a question you would like me to ask Marcus, please put a Q in front of your question and I will ask him whatever it is you guys want to know. I have
Whatever.
some questions
Okay.
of my own. So Marcus, what is it that you do during the day? Like when you're not watching us all live stream, which it seems like you always are, but I do believe you
Somehow,
have an
yeah.
actual day job.
Yes, absolutely, I do. So I work in health insurance, and there I work for the finance department, but I work very closely with the IT department, and I work as product owner. I don't know if you know this term. No, okay.
No, I don't think I've heard that
Okay.
term before.
So yeah, just I take the we do different projects. We see what do the users need, and specify that, and work with the IT in an agile framework, and yeah, make it happen somehow.
Wow. Okay. So your day job is working like in the IT space.
Yes.
So would you say that one of the things that you love about live streaming is the tech side of it, all the gadgets and things that
Absolutely.
you can.
Absolutely. Yeah, at first I already had some things like eCam and no idea what to do with it. And just, yeah, because I think it's really fun. And then what to do with it. And that was the thing I had to find out.
That part of it is really so fun, and um, in my sphere, like I am not that techie, but my husband really is.
Mhm.
So I kind of just do whatever he tells me. But I really like that the tech is kind of this creative tech blend that as you sort of blend those two together, you become more creative and get more ideas about how you could do things better. So I have some questions from the comments for you,
Okay.
Marcus. Paul would like to know, what is your favorite movie, Marcus? This says so much about you. I feel
Okay.
we're ready to judge you.
Okay. Yeah, and I always I'm drawing a blank. Okay, I really liked Pulp Fiction or even stranger one, Mulholland Drive was a very cool movie.
Yes, Naomi Watts. I love that. Good Aussie actress. Good answer, Marcus. That's a good
Okay.
answer for my
Okay, I
show.
passed this
Yeah.
test. Okay, very
Yeah, you
good.
passed this test. I mean, for as chill a person as you are, Marcus, I am a little surprised that Quentin Tarantino was your pick, but let's roll with it. Let's roll with
Yeah,
it.
you know, chill is
Sandy,
just in the outside.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. We know what rages in there. So Sandy would like to know, when is the next Marcus
Oh,
dance routine
yeah, I
happening?
saw that somewhere.
So
Okay, yeah,
what do you think
just
about that?
yeah, in the countdown timer, so don't watch it in the replay. And yeah, I I I don't really think I'm any good as dancer, but it's just
What?
having fun and go with it. You would disagree?
I would
Okay,
disagree, Marcus. I think you've got the moves. I mean,
okay,
I think that one thing I will say about you, Marcus, is that I don't think you give yourself enough credit for how great you are at doing this.
okay.
So I obviously watch every single live stream you
I
do,
know.
and now being the interviewer and having interviewed on my own channel, I know what a hard job it is. But the thing that I love most about you is actually your chill interview style, and that you really let the person, whoever that is, have the floor. And I feel like that creates space for them to really get their stories across. So, is that sort of what you think your style is? That sort of chill, laid back vibe?
Yeah, okay. So there we have different things to unpack. So the first where you say I didn't give myself enough credit is yeah you were suggesting yeah why don't I interview you and I was immediately thinking yeah what's so interesting to to ask me, but yeah, that's the funny thing because if I interview people I always think they are very interesting, and so then
Yes.
I thought, yeah, I just have to trust that that this will work as well. And yes, the other thing, I I think I want in the future to prepare a little bit more. It seems to work. My approach is to have some general topics and then just see what develops there. But maybe last week we had Roy here, and he brought a presentation, and every time it was maybe not clear what is next. The next point I could go back to the presentation, and I think if I have a little bit more of preparation, then I have this backup and can make it more smooth. And in letting the guest speak, of course, I want to know what the guest has to say. Why would I invite him if I wouldn't?
I think that that is again just something that you don't realize is really powerful, Marcus,
Okay.
because I think when it's your show, there can be this tendency to sort of make it about you and direct it in the way you want the show to go. And maybe what you see as a lack of preparation actually comes across as this way that you'll let the live stream go wherever it is
Yeah.
intended to go,
Yes.
rather than already having this strict regime of things that you have decided you were going to do. So I know that people who come across your channel probably have an interest in live streaming and are coming from other live streamers. So, if you had like one piece of advice that you could give to someone who was just starting out, maybe hadn't ever pressed record, what would you say?
Okay. The most important thing is go and do it. Of course, there is a bit of preparation needed. You have to figure out some tech, and you have to figure out a little bit about what will it be about. But yeah, at some point, preparation um, is over, and you have to start. And I think we just have to improve from that point on.
Yes, totally agree.
Yeah.
That, I say a Sean Cannell quote of like punch fear in the face of, it's all those fears in your head. Yeah. Um, that make you not want to press record. And so one of the things that, I think is really important is just getting over that fear as well. So, what I also wanted to ask you was if someone was new to live streaming, I think a big part of the community that you've created was about being an active community member. You're not lurking,
Yeah.
you're always, there making sure that people know that they're supported. Do you think that that is another great tool that a new live streamer could use?
Yes, of course. It's like always if you're in a community, and I would have really advise to search out the community to get the help. And as always, you get out what you put in. That's absolutely, yeah.
Yes.
But
Yes.
okay, I know it's your interview, but
Oh,
just to ask you, you're doing YouTube for a bit longer, but live streaming in public, it's somehow new for you too. Is that right? Or...
well, I had done some live
Okay.
streams like before I joined Leader, but it was always like this. Maybe for me, it was like the afterthought, and I never really grasped the full power of what live streaming could
Okay.
be. I always thought it had to be a Q&A. And then when I found this community and I saw videos like yours, Marcus, where you were on there interviewing people, I realized that there was a whole other world out there. Did you guys just see what Marcus did? He just did a switcheroo on me. I'm now answering questions.
Yeah.
Oh, he's good,
Okay.
people. He's good.
Okay. I promise I lean back now. And
And obviously, I am not as good an interviewer as Marcus because I'm most happy to talk about myself. Well, I don't know what that says about me.
no,
But
I think
let's go in.
that's good. It has to be an exchange. Yeah.
That's right, a good conversation.
Yes. Yes.
So, Paul would like to know about your thoughts on making videos. Like, is it always going to be live? Have you thought about making recorded videos?
Yeah, that's a really good question, Sarah. um, yeah, that's for now. Life is just really easy for me, and I was thinking about recorded videos. Especially, I think it's easier for new people to discover it here because yes, this streams, they tend to be an hour long, and for someone who for example, for this stream, for someone who doesn't know you and doesn't know me, why in the world would you want to watch an hour of this? And so yeah,
And not be able to interact.
yeah, and I think, yeah, but I think with shorter and well-rounded videos, that maybe could be a better entry point. And then if you already saw something, then you say, okay, why don't we try this live stream? But yeah, it's for me, it's really hard to how would I go about that? I mean, technically I know it, but with the live stream I know it's Thursday, it's this time, so we go live, and I don't know. Maybe you have some tips for me how I get a
I
recorded
think
video there.
that one of the things you said before was about just hitting that record button. And one of the great things about that process of hitting record is, and also constantly getting that feedback from your audience, is that things evolve over time. And so as the more you do it, that there will be an opportunity where the recorded video will reveal itself to you. And for me, when I started my channel, I thought I was just going to be talking to people like me, to other mums. But as I started to make videos, I realized that there was so much more than that. There was a whole group of people that were completely uncatered for in my audience. And I think the same thing will happen for you, Marcus, which brings me sort of to my next question, because it's an area where I think, not that well, it is my channel right now, but of course it's your channel the rest of the days.
Yes.
But, um, for maybe new live streamers, coming on someone else's stream is really way less, I guess, intimidating, because you're not worrying about the tech, but you are still getting to see the back end of how everything works. So do you think that maybe in the future, you might be a way for new live streamers to sort of debut their content and things like that?
That's a fantastic idea. I would love that. Yeah. And so if most people in here already did maybe their own lives, but maybe not everyone. So if you want to come and practice here, yeah, that's an excellent idea, Sarah. So I'm absolutely open to that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that, YouTube, we've all been down a YouTube rabbit hole, right? And so that rabbit hole may have brought someone here today who's interested in starting out live streams. And my husband is just explaining why my thing
Yeah.
is glitching. I'm sorry about that, guys. I'm just going to roll with it and pretend like it's smooth as butter.
It mostly
So,
works, and it's mostly just a picture, if ever. So we're just going with it.
okay.
Yes.
All right, we're just going to roll. This is what true LSPs do. We just roll with it. We just pretend like it's not happening, or we call it out. So we've done all the things. So, Paul, it's like Marcus is a gateway drug for people interested in live streaming.
Perfect.
Exactly. He is like going to be the reason why they're getting up at 3 a.m. to watch someone in a completely different time zone. It's
Yes.
how it's going to roll.
I love that, because I still have to find out what is exactly the theme about this whole channel. So far I didn't explicitly state it anywhere, but for me it was always about this community that is already there, but just to strengthen that and to spotlight people in the community and just hang out together. But if we can narrow that more down and have some more ideas there, that's perfect. Yes.
And one of the things that I really enjoy, particularly about your channel and your interviews, is that it's channels that I may not have sought out myself, but it's this great like encapsulation of who they are. It's almost like an hour-long trailer where you get to dig into what their content is, who they are as a person, and then you fall in love with who they are. So my next question is, through this journey that you've had with finding new friends, has there been any genres that you didn't used to watch that now you absolutely love?
Of course, we have Lala with her crafting, and I'm so untalented.
Me
You
too.
too,
I feel
okay.
like I could start speaking Filipino very soon. I'm really close.
Yeah, I think I would rather or first speak Filipino before I would become a talented crafter. Yeah, but at especially on Saturdays, I mean, she does it so often and it's so long, but especially on Saturdays, I sometimes find the time, and it's really fascinating. And I'm still waiting for an episode, maybe where there is crafting for dummies, and then Sarah, you and me, we
Yes.
go all in, and we
Yeah.
will
We'll both come
participate.
on for that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes I think, like when I'm watching Lala's channel, and one that Filipino voice is just so soft and soothing because it's really late at night for me. It's this wonderful cathartic experience just listening to those wonderful ladies, but also just how easy they make everything look.
Yes.
It's just, and I was thinking, I couldn't just, Lala. But I think that is so good. I know we've got some tech questions because they're all trying to help me fix this. But guys, let me
Okay.
tell you, I'm not going to look at anything during this live
Yeah,
stream.
I think we'll just roll with it. It mostly works. And then
We're going to roll with
if
it.
there are good tips, then we will try to review them for another time. Yes, because it's
Yes,
about always learning, always improving.
that's right. Rolling with the tech
Yes.
issues. I I love it when I'm watching like a big YouTuber or Luria over on Live Streaming Pros and they have a tech issue. It soothes my soul. Like if this can happen to the people who know exactly what they're doing, I am like all for it. Roy is he saying we should have some tech crafting? That would be amazing.
Yeah.
Well, we could craft and do tech at the same time. Wow, that's
Bring it
next
all
level,
together. Yeah.
Lala.
And
Yes.
and for what you said, I think it's not so important. Do you have tech issues or not? But how do you deal with them? And that is where you can shine.
Yes,
Mm.
so true. And I mean, the range of people we have in our community, we've got tech experts, there's people like me who film themselves cleaning their house, there's people like Sandy who train dogs to do amazing things and how to help your dog if they're having trouble, and all these things that I've been able to say, hey, I've got these people in my life that I can share with you. So I really enjoyed that part of it. But one of the things I wanted to ask you, Marcus, was do you have like a favorite live streaming moment, whether on your channel or where you've dropped in on someone else, or even just one that you've been watching that's had like that really good vibe to the stream?
Okay. I'm just gonna ignore that you said one and and try to round it about. Yeah, I will never forget my very first live stream and how Lala showed up there and saved the day for me. That was really totally cool. And then I like to watch so many of them. Of course, I love to watch LSP live streaming pros, and so I try to watch every of you, so that's mutual. And yeah, it's just yeah, it's so fun and engaging, and I think it's also. I wouldn't have believed that you could so easily make deep connections and friendships just online, but it's this thing. The live stream is really engaging, and it works if it's two times the one way. So I'm in your live
Yes,
stream and I'm in the comments and you are on camera, and then it's the other way around.
yes,
And after all that, it's like we really talked with each other
yes,
as we do now. But yeah.
yes. And I think for me, I was really surprised by that too, that this could happen so quickly and that you could make these friends that, in some ways, particularly because my in person friends, that's a better way to say it. I'm going to say that my in person friends aren't creators. And so, and creating is such a big part of my life. And yet, I can't really talk about it the same way. And I also think, as an introvert, which I know you are too, Marcus, is that I really dislike small talk. And I kind of feel like a live stream sort of jumps over that small talk
Yeah.
barrier right into the deep stuff of, asking real questions and getting to know people on a deeper level. Did you find that too, that it's sort
Yeah.
of a little bit, it dives a bit deeper than just the surface
Yeah.
level?
So I'm not sure if I'm an introvert. I think I'm jumping between but
Oh, ambivert.
the ambivert. I think, but who knows? But I know there are a lot of introverts in live streaming, and I think that's something there because yeah, if you're alone on the camera, you just have to talk, else nothing happens. And I strongly believe it brings out another side of yourself. And yeah,
Yes, I totally agree. My husband is just pointing out that when I go live, it's called small talk, which is the exact opposite of what I
yeah,
like. So there you go. There's a little bit of irony for you guys. So just sort of jumping on the bandwagon because we touched on people who are maybe introverts that still enjoy live streaming as a way to maybe, because I think there's a myth that introverts are shy or that they've got nothing to say, whereas that's actually the opposite. We just
absolutely.
enjoy solitude. So, live streaming is almost this beautiful way that introverts can be in solitude, yet sort of have that social connection as well. But I
Mhm.
also wanted to talk about something that I'm really passionate about, which is neurodiversity. So, for those who aren't familiar with that term, neurodiversity is people who have ADHD, autism, Tourette syndrome, those sorts of things that are commonly referred to as sort of a disability when in fact they're actually just a diversity. So our brains function in a different way to other people. And so, Marcus, I know that you are also an advocate of neurodiversity. So, oh, sorry, you go.
Yeah, yeah. I just
With
wanted to say, yeah, I have ADHD. Okay. Yes.
ADHD, and do you think that there is something within that live streaming structure that is sort of helpful for people with ADHD, or which sort of plays a way in maybe making your, like helping your brain a little bit better because everything is right now?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think there are always the two sides of the coins, and there is the things where it hinders you in your life, and there is the things where it benefits you, and yeah, you absolutely have to go for the strengths that it brings, and of course ADHD. I like the shiny object and the camera. Okay, the camera itself isn't the shiny object, but the live stream absolutely. And yeah, because with ADHD, it's often hard to focus on something. But the exception is if it's something that is really interesting, then it's the laser focus on it, and yeah, then there it can help. And there you have it. You have some things that are much harder, but then there are other things that maybe are just possible because of it. And I think yes, let's embrace that.
I think that is such a wonderful sentiment that, you know, that whatever it is you're wanting to do, whether it's live streaming or those sorts of things, that you can find that thing that you are really interested in and force that hyper focus onto that. I think with live streaming, I've seen with my kids is there's that immediate feedback. But I see that my kids and even talking to other content creators who have either ADHD or autism spectrum disorder is that there's a real flow to live streaming and that they're more willing to let things go wherever they're going to go. So do you think a little bit of maybe your what you would say is a lack of planning is actually just letting your brain sort of go on the fly, which is how it wants to work?
Absolutely. So I used to think about myself that I am lazy. That was totally wrong. But the thing is, I often do things in the last minute or last second, and then maybe they are not so perfect. And later in life, I learned, okay, um, that was really fascinating. I learned, oh no, I a perfectionist, and
Me too.
okay, and the thing with procrastination and doing everything at the last minute is just my cure for the procrastination, because and also maybe for the ADHD that wouldn't let me focus. So if it becomes urgent, then there is focus, because it's so much more important, and that's just the cure there. And then when it's urgent, I'm brutally efficient, and so. But I think,
Get it done.
yeah, but I think I have to find the balance there a bit more, because sometimes it can be stressful. But the live streaming, yeah, that's the thing. I'm as prepared as I am, and we just have to hope it's enough, because I said it's at 1 p.m. Pacific, and then it is at 1 p.m. Pacific, and not at 1 p.m. and 1. And so we go with what we have.
I think that's so good because it really is the whole, like with live streaming, you can only prepare so much, and then the rest, once this is the time and the date, and once you're there, once you press live, you have to really just push
Yeah,
forward. And I think, I talk on my channel about my challenges with OCD, and I just think it's so powerful to break down those shame barriers that maybe have occurred, particularly around neurodiversities or mental health challenges. And as Cheryl is saying, that, a lot of us who were maybe childs of the 70s and 80s, where there wasn't a name for what we had, or we all envision, I think, if people heard, Marcus, that you have ADHD, in their head, they envision the little 6-year-old boy who's climbing up the walls. And so when they see a chilled guy, they're like, no, you don't have ADHD.
yeah,
And you're like, well, it looks really different for everyone. So
absolutely.
what are some of the things in your life? So you talked about, racing to the deadline. Are there some other things that you see in your life that people may not realize are actually about ADHD?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I had it diagnosed as an adult, and part of that was really learning a lot about it. And one thing, because the ADHD, the H part, that stands for
Hyperactivity.
hyperactive, yes, and that's a bit counterintuitive, because you said, yeah, I'm a calm guy, and the person who was diagnosing me was she explained, okay, you learned to hide that without
Yeah.
that is not a conscious decision, but you learn to hide that, and then this hyperactivity shows more subtle, maybe with tension, or with, you see, now I play with something here around, and all these little things. So of course you don't see this in adults, this hyperactivity, activity. Did I
And
answer
I
the question?
think
I
that
forgot the question.
that is perfect. That
Okay.
is perfect. But I sort of give the analogy for people who are, sort of more chill on the outside, is that it's a bit like the duck on the river. You just see this smooth duck floating by, but what you don't see is underneath, that little duck is sort of paddling like nobody's business underneath.
Yes.
And so I think for people, some people with ADHD, even the hyperactivity is actually going on in their brain, that they can't focus on one thing at a time and those sorts of things. So I was so happy when you were happy to talk about, neurodiversities or mental health challenges, because
Absolutely.
I think all of this, the more we talk about it, the more these things, these stigmas start to break down, shame, and just having Cheryl say that she thinks she might have undiagnosed ADHD, or people who come to my channel who say, "Oh, I think I have OCD tendencies."
Yes.
That the one of the biggest parts is just acknowledging that this is a part of who you are, and it doesn't make you disabled, it just makes your brain work differently. So if you had someone in your life that maybe had some of these tendencies, that what sort of things help you with the ADHD?
Okay. I just wanted to what you just said. Um, it has two positive effects if you talk openly. The first one is it will help other people's. That's the most important one, and the second one, you are very open about it too, is it helps to relate with people and to be seen not just as this lady who cleans, but as a human being.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
and I wanted to address that, and now I forgot your question. But
Oh, so are there any things that you've put in place, even whether it's in your work life or around what you do with live streaming, that sort of are, I guess, adapters for your ADHD that help your executive function, things like
mhm,
that, if people are watching and that maybe they,
okay.
they need some tips?
Okay. So if it's bothering you, I would advise to get it diagnosed. And that is not just to have this diagnosis. It's also I learned really a big part was just learning about how does it work and why is it like that and what can you do. Um, I'm not. I don't have something practical ready. Do this and this and this. But yeah, maybe just accept it. See where it can benefit you, and find. Yeah, maybe find some life hacks. So if you, for example, you say, okay, I want to drink a glass of water in the morning, but my brain will not make it happen anyway. So then just put this water right beside you on the bed. It's the first thing you see in the morning. It's already there, and then you drink it. And just little hacks like that where you help yourself achieve your thing.
That's so good. And I think the practical things change person to person, right? Because there are people who are hyper focused. So there are people even with ADHD which are super clean and tidy because that's where their hyper focus is. And so then again, that goes against the stereotype. But I think that it's really positive for people to learn that one of the biggest parts of getting help is just finding out how your brain works. And then you can kind of hack that backwards and be like, oh, there's nothing wrong with me. It's just my brain, wants to do whatever is right now. So, like you said, with the water, I can make this water be what's right now. And so you can actually hack that
Yes,
hyper focus and that, multi-focus even to make you more productive.
absolutely.
So, for me with obsessive compulsive disorder, I think there are also so many stereotypes that are just not true. People like when they hear I've got OCD, they're like, oh, do you wash your hands 20 million times a day?
Okay,
I'm like,
because that's what everybody knows.
no.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and that's what
Yeah.
everyone knows. And one when I'm working as a professional organizer, I actually work with hoarders who have obsessive compulsive disorder because we don't pick and choose what the compulsions are. They are what they are. And that
Mhm.
compulsion to hoard is part of OCD. And so I find that really helpful to break down some of those misconceptions about, what these things are, what ADHD is, what neurodiversity is, what OCD is, because those things aren't true for
Yeah.
everybody in the spectrum. And I would say for ADHD, it's probably not true for most people. So how old were you when you first got diagnosed?
Okay. I was with the thing where when I was a child it had a different name, but I had a
Okay.
diagnosis there already, but we didn't do so much about it. And then as an adult, yeah, it's maybe 7 years around now. Yeah, but
Wow.
let me just go back to the OCD. I think there it is even more important to address it because is it right that it tends to get worse and worse if you don't address it? Or,
Absolutely.
yeah.
So, like with ADHD, if you have obsessive compulsive disorder, there is no way to cure it. You are always going to
Mm,
have that tendency to go towards compulsions, and those
okay.
compulsions can constantly change. So, some people it's turning lights on and off, locking doors a number of times. For me, it's much more closely linked to irrational fears. So,
Okay.
things about clothing, wearing clothing twice is a really big one for me. I can't, like, my brain, I literally, to say to you, I cannot, it's like the door is locked and I cannot open it. That's what I mean when I say I cannot do something because of the OCD. So, I cannot wear clothes twice. And on my channel, I showed tips that I use to help my OCD so that sorry, my throat's really dry, so that those compulsions aren't overtaking my life. And it's really similar to people with ADHD,
Mm,
sort of life hacking their thing
yeah.
or their whatever they need to do, or with autism spectrum disorder, where their brain is not geared socially, is actually realizing that that's not a moral issue. It's not a moral issue to not be social all the time.
Of
And so to
course. Yeah.
break down some of those things that you can sort of hack to help yourself, but you never have to change who you are to fit what society says it should be. It, as long as you're not hurting people or it's not damaging your own mental health and you're not using like addictive behaviors, that
Mm,
it's okay if what you do looks different to somebody
yeah.
else. It's
Yeah.
it's okay to, yeah, be different.
Yeah, I think there are one thing is as long as it's on a level where it's not bothering you and not hindering you in a successful life, who cares? And
Yeah,
and then the
exactly.
other thing is if it gets worse, there we have to be careful because we, as humans, we tend to get used to things, and that's how it can get
Yes.
worse because at first you can't do this, and then it gets worse and worse. But it's always becomes your new normal, and if you do something about it, and you are somewhere and telling someone what all these things are, and you hear yourself telling that, and you think, oh my god, and
Yeah.
that's it. I think we just have to reflect and look how is everything going, and where is a need to address something, and some things they just can stay as they are.
Yes, I love the idea that, it's not everything is an actual problem. Like if in your work career, you're still meeting every deadline, you actually find, I know for a lot of people who have ADHD, that deadline actually makes their work better because they condense everything to a really short period of time and then they make it work with the time that they have. And then with me, with OCD, it's that I know that sometimes I will let myself deep clean something for an hour or two because I actually find that soothing. And it's only when it starts to inhibit other areas of my life that I worry about it. So I don't worry about, oh, I don't ever let myself clean. No, of course I do. And I probably clean more than most people, but I still know it's at a level that's safe and it's something that I enjoy doing, and that I'm not being controlled by the compulsion. And that sort of same with ADHD, and that
Mm.
addictive, impulsive nature can be a hard thing for people to overcome. And so as long as, you've got those things in check, that's okay to let those
Yes,
things
absolutely. As
happen.
long it's not harmful and you're enjoying the deep clean, then go for it. Yeah, it's just to keep an eye on it. Is it harmful to myself or to others? And if not, yeah. The thing is, yeah, we talked about decluttering earlier, and I remember if I wanted to declutter something, and back in the time where there were compact disc, and then I saw them and they were all in the wrong thing, and then instead of addressing the whole room, I could go through that for an hour. Yeah, sometimes we just go for the unimportant things.
I don't know if it's unimportant, but very specific
Yeah.
jobs. I'll often walk into someone's home who has a problem with hoarding, and you'll open their oven and it will be like the cleanest oven you've ever seen. And there'll be chaos everywhere else because obviously there was hyper focus on that oven for a little while. And so, yeah, sort of moving through those things that are a bit more difficult, to get the broader
Yeah.
focus on can be difficult sometimes. So do you do you let people know, like, early on in your friendships and your in-person relationships, that you have ADHD? Do you find that something that's helpful?
Um, so as you can tell, I have no problem talking about it, but I don't make it a priority either. It has to come up somehow,
Oh,
and
yeah.
because normally it doesn't affect friendships, and then it has to. If the topic comes up, then I'm happy to talk about it. Yeah, like that.
And that's, I think, such a good thing. Like when it comes up organically,
Mhm.
you don't need to start off, hi, I'm Marcus, I have ADHD.
No.
But, that willingness to explain, even to friends and family, oh, hey, I'm sorry, I was running late. Sometimes I have trouble focusing on a certain time and things like that. So that can
Yeah.
be a good way of people who, especially if you just you know, were diagnosed late, that you're not used to explaining. So I know that Lala's children and my own children have some neurodiversities. And so because they are diagnosed as children, they're actually a little bit more apt at explaining to people what's going on. Oh, I struggle with this, because we've given them those words, whereas adults who are diagnosed tend to not have those skills because they didn't have it as a child.
Mhm.
So it's good to hear that you are so open to talking about it and, making it less of a taboo.
Yeah, I'm really inspired by people who are doing this, like you do it in your channel, or others I met in this community, and I think that's helping to a lot more people than we think, because one is the effect of, for some people, hear someone else, oh, I'm not the only one, or just okay, seeing it's okay to talk about it. I think that's so helpful, and I'm always really inspired by people who are doing that.
And I think, like you said, that it's not what our channel's about. I don't make a channel about, obsessive compulsive disorder, although I think that it's great that people across the spectrum are talking about these issues and bringing to light some of those stereotypes that aren't true, but also just to see, real mums like Mummy Lala who've got kids who have these neurodiversities, and people like you and I who make content on other things, yet we're willing to say, hey, this is something I have, or I do things differently, or I can say things. I can set up my life in a different way to
Absolutely.
be, helpful about that. So it doesn't have to be what your channel's about, but your willingness to talk about, even if it's not a neurodiversity or a diagnosed condition like I have, if it's something like depression or anxiety and those sorts of things, they are so helpful just to say, hey, I struggle with anxiety, because that just meets people where they're at and then helps them. And if they know, Marcus, that someone with anxiety live streams, that, they're like, oh, well, if he can do it, I can do it too. So
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's another thing I really love about live streaming is how it helps my own development. So I'm learning new skills. It's if you're doing it with live streaming, it then gets easier to do it in front of people, a presentation, and you just learn skills like how to present without having a huge presentation and things like that. And yeah, and the community side, there's also things I'm evolving because I'm talking with people. Is it like this one to one or in comments? And it's has so much positive effects.
I love that you said that, because I think that when it comes to live streaming, it is a big jump, right? You have to sort of jump off the ledge of pressing record, and if you make mistakes, everyone's going to see. And for someone who, like us, is a bit of a perfectionist, I should say, we're not
Mm.
professional. Who's a bit of a
Professional
perfectionist.
perfectionists.
Yeah, yeah, we're those. We're definitely that. So if you are one of those if you lean towards perfectionism, that can be a hard thing to sort of know that you're going to make mistakes and everyone's going to see. And then once you do it and you realize, what, the world didn't end. People still got stuff out
Yeah.
of my stream. It's okay that Sarah was glitchy for an hour. It was okay. The world didn't end. And that's really powerful going into your physical life, that once you've sort of overcome some things and you realize the world didn't end, that gives you the confidence to try
Yeah.
some other things.
Absolutely.
So,
And another thing is we could have trained and trained for exactly this one to get it near perfect, and then it would have been so boring.
yeah,
So
exactly.
live means it has to be live in it.
I always have a joke with my husband that live streaming is like watching people do a motorbike race. Like, we're all watching a motorbike race just in case someone crashes. And I think that there's an element of that with live streaming, that, we know that there are going to be things that go wrong. But like you said, it makes it richer. How are they going to interact with people? What are they going to do when someone says this or that? And so once you've sort of overcome it all, you're like, nothing can touch me. I've had tech issues. It's all good.
Yes, it really
So,
builds the
guys,
confidence. Yes.
do you guys have any quick questions before I let Marcus leave my channel and I hand his channel back to him that you would like me to ask? It got more into a conversation than an interview. I'm sorry about that, Marcus.
No, but I think that's really great because it shouldn't be an interrogation. Yeah, and
I
Caleb has it absolutely right. Personality first, tech secondary. And
I
personality comes with if you're willing to show weakness, if you're willing to share personal stuff. Personality is not just a thing you can take out from some shelf and have it.
Yeah, exactly. And that people, you are the right person for a group of people, and you don't have to be right for everyone. You can be the sweetest peach in all of Georgia and there's still going to be people who don't like peaches, right? And so making sure that you recognize that you're going to be right for your people, and it's okay to not be right for everyone. it's your personality that matters. But before we go, Roy would just like to clarify what's in your cup, Marcus. I know the answer, but they probably don't.
Here. So that the outside is exciting too. It's from Kelly, from her
From
merch, and
Kelly.
inside it's just black tea with milk. Very British, I guess.
Oh, yes. That's. Oh, I had questions about Switzerland. We didn't even get there. Never mind. We'll have to come back and do a whole hour on Switzerland.
You
and
know,
what it's
you are
like to live
welcome
there.
anytime in my stream. We talked for 2 times, and you know, after the first time, my only regret was, oh, I already had Sarah, so I now can't
It's done
talk with
now.
Sarah, and we solved that.
I came back. I wormed my way back in. So
Yeah,
we'll have to find
perfect.
another
So
reason for me to come back on.
we will.
So thank you so much for letting me interview you, Marcus.
Thank you
I
so
will
much for doing this.
I'll hand the channel back to you, so it's no longer a Sarah takeover, but I am happy to come on anytime.
Okay, and just for the finish line, Zoe comes in, so I guess if you're interested, you have to watch the replay.
Watch the replay, Zoe.
Yeah, but yeah, Sarah, I had so much fun. I hope that you all had fun too, and Sarah, that you were somehow relaxed, even if there were some glitches.
I just looked at the smooth version. It was fine.
Yes. No. Yes, I guess that's it for this week. We will be back next week, same channel, same time, and we will have here with us, I hope I don't mix it up, Heather Aroma. So that will be a good one. Okay.
Oh, guys, you must join us. It's going to be so good. Heather's the best.
Okay. Again, thank you very much for doing this, Sarah, and thank all of you for watching. See you next time. Bye.